you ready? In the red corner, representing faithful followers around the globe, moral values and all that is wholesome, and smelling of sweet vanilla extract, the Mormon. And in the blue corner, representing all that is rational, sane, and scientific, and crushing the beliefs of children everywhere, the Atheist. Destroying all that is good and honorable in podcasting, and hailed by critics nowhere as one of the year's 10 best. Ladies and gentlemen, we give to you the Mormon and the Atheist. You may begin composing your hate mail now.
Welcome once again to another amazing, brilliant, and loud episode of Mormon and the Atheist. We are back, folks. We are back better than ever. Which doesn't say much because we were never that good to begin with, so this isn't.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I am David Anthony. I am the Atheist of the program. With me, as you just heard, is Sarah the Mormon. Sarah, what's going on?
Whenever you ask that question, it's always loaded.
It's always loaded. Give us a rundown. We've been on hiatus now for a couple of months.
I know, we haven't...
Our listener has missed us and wants to know what's been going on in our lives. I'll tell you what I've done. I went to a Mormon mass.
Oh, not in my absence, I went with you.
I'm saying in our absence of being on the air.
Okay, I see.
During that time, that's really why we needed a break. I really needed to decompress and collect myself again after the Mormon mass. It took that much out of me. I needed about 8 weeks of rest.
You enjoyed it.
It wasn't bad.
And by the way, we don't call it Mormon mass.
What do you call it?
Just church.
Oh. What do you call the sacrifice? You had that virgin on the altar. You just call it the virgin sacrifice?
Okay, yeah, that's really... We don't have any sacrifices, dork.
There was something about that.
Mr. Comedian. Are we going to get to the facts and the factual part?
It wasn't a bad mass. I have to say, I've been to a lot of masses in my life. This was probably the least organized.
Well,
there's no structure to it. I have to fill people in. The non-Mormons out there. There's no real rigidity to it. There's no...
Okay, there's also no paid clergy.
Correct. There's no priest to molest boys.
No. You are just on one today. I think we've been absent for a while, and you're just getting it all out of your system right now.
It's all been building up for a long, long time.
My goodness. So apparently we need to do this every week, or else I'm going to be facing
let's get back
this.
On track.
Okay, we're back on track.
Okay.
And you enjoyed your first Mormon mass.
I did. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. There were a lot of children.
Yes, there's kind of the inside joke that you cannot sit through one without hearing a child cry, or it's pretty fun.
You can't sit through 5 minutes without that.
No, you can't.
It was wall-to-wall kids, and you almost couldn't hear the speakers because the drone of children running and crawling underneath the pews was just overwhelming.
It was pretty funny. Anyways.
One last thing about the Mormon Mass was
Yes.
In lieu of... I come from a Catholic background.
Yes.
Which is why I'm an atheist today. At Catholic Masses, we have the sacraments, the body and blood of Christ, the communion wafer and the wine. Mm-hmm. And the communion wafers are these unleavened, dry pieces of cardboard. In the Mormon church, it is they open up at the start of Mass, they open up a package of Wonder Bread.
Yep.
And they break it apart into basically crouton-sized little cubelets.
Okay, this isn't...
And you pass it down, and I thought that was really interesting.
Well, if you had all those little kids running up to it would turn
be nice
chaos.
for a little garlic butter or some peanut butter to put on there.
You're not going there for a snack. You are going there for a reason.
It's an hour long. You need some nourishment to keep you going. Some sustenance. So it is January now. We're recording in January. 2011, the year of our Lord. And I was listening to NPR because I love the NPR radio. Fine programming. And they were talking about one of the topics that I was listening to. This was last week. They had a woman on, and she was a divorce attorney. And she said that January is when divorce attorneys see a spike in divorces.
That's right.
That is when divorce rates spike. They think January is the most popular because a lot of married couples want to stay together at least through the holidays. Then once the holidays have passed, that's when they start filing for divorce. And also, it's the second reason is because it's part of somebody's New Year's resolution. They want to start fresh, clean slate, get rid of the dead baggage. Yeah. And so they file divorce. So January typically sees highest numbers in petitions for divorce. So,
I've never liked the month of January, so now I have another reason to not like it.
more reason to add. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about just marriage.
Since I am the biggest proponent of it.
Or biggest living proponent of marriage.
Married when I was 21, going on 9 years.
My God. You just revealed how old you are, by the way.
I am almost 30.
Oh.
Yes. So that's why you can't expect too much from me.
Right.
I'm just barely figuring life out.
Almost 30. You have no wisdom to offer.
I know. I'm just a little housewife. So
it's hard to track down actual figures for divorce rates in the U.S.
It's a lot.
The CDC has been tracking it for quite a long time, decades and decades. But they categorize it in terms of populace. So they'll say this year there were 14 divorces for every 1,000 people in the state of Minnesota or the state of Texas. So you have to go through a lot of calculations to figure out what the actual divorce rate is. But it's somewhere between, on the low end, 40%, on the high end, just above 50%, depending on which statistics you're using. So somewhere between 40 and 50%.
Regardless, it's not great.
It's almost half. Yeah, at least 2 out of every 5 marriages ends in divorce.
Yeah, that sounds about right when I look at people I know. And
yeah. And most of it, they say most first-time marriages end after about 8 years. So
I'm good. I made it.
You're just over that cusp. You just made it. Breathe a sigh of relief. Wow.
And how long are you going on? You're going on year number 2, right?
I will be starting year 3.
So you just finished up the honeymoon stage. So now the real fun starts for you.
Now 5 more years. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about here? Not just the divorce rates and the statistics.
No, I think just marriage in general. What is contributing to these divorce rates? Why are people, knowing divorce rates are what they are, why are people still continuing to get married? Why is marriage still pushed as something you have to do? Why is it unacceptable to not be married? Because it really is. There's a stigma against people who are unmarried, especially women of a certain age.
No, I know.
I think once you hit that 30-year mark as a woman and you're unmarried, you start to feel a lot more pressure from family and friends. You have this...
Well, and especially in the Mormon community, because family and marriage, that's what they're all about. So even when I was 21, I did not consider myself young getting married. Even though I was 21 years old, I didn't feel like I was young to get married. I felt like I was about average, maybe, which is a little sad, but that's just in the Mormon community. That's how it's just accepted.
I was 28 when I got married.
You were wise.
Yeah, and I feel like...
And you were supposed to give me a few moments, remember, to talk about my comments from the last podcast.
I'm not giving you a few moments for anything.
It actually ties it. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Wasn't one of our New Year's resolutions to be nicer?
No.
I think
I don't think
we're going to be more cordial with each other, get along a little better.
No,
but I did want to make just a comment, and it actually ties in pretty well with our topic today of marriage and divorce rates. And we were talking about the same-sex union and the rights. What? Yes, we were talking about that last time.
Yeah.
And I was kind of a little disappointed with my comments afterwards. And I've never been one I'm not very good at speaking my mind, and especially in more controversial topics, which is one of the reasons why I kind of thought it'd be fun to do this podcast. It really would push me to define my opinions on some of these topics and to figure out what my stance really is. But I was thinking after that podcast that what if my kids ever listen to this? Heaven forbid. They should never listen.
Let's hope not.
But I was just thinking, what if I had a child who listened to this and like, you know what, this is what mom thinks and this is what her stance is. And I was thinking I'd be a little sad if that was my opinion and that they took. So I just wanted to take a quick second and this ties in actually with what we're talking about because, at least as a Christian, I think over the years we've slowly been changing the definition of marriage. And that's where a lot of the problem comes from. I think, and my beliefs don't stem from any judgment that anyone's less deserving, but it rests really in what my belief in what the purpose of marriage is and what that definition is. So if you're saying, by what we were talking about last time, by allowing for same-sex marriage, that changes the definition. That's redefining marriage so that it's no longer about building, the building blocks of a family unit, but it's simply, a confirmation of a relationship or a commitment ceremony. So you're taking it away from the family unit and putting it on the couple. And so I think we're sending youth the wrong message today that marriage is not, necessarily the steps you take to have, to have children, but it's just when two adults want to be together. So I think that's when I'm talking about the definition. What are we defining family unit or the marriage unit? And I believe that, the ability to have children is a very, it's a sacred responsibility, I view. And that those creative powers are only possible in a heterosexual union. So that's partly why I'm getting all technical.
Yes.
So I'm like, but I just I think that that's why, that families are a central structure to our society. Anyway, so basically what it gets down to is I believe that the purpose of a marriage is to create a social unit to bring children into the world where you can teach them and foster good environments where values and morals are taught and passed on from generation to generation. So if you're taking that out of the equation, if you're just saying that just anyone can get married, you're changing the definition and you're destroying the social unit, and you're saying it's not about families anymore. It's not about that, creating that structure. And even when I was looking online, I just was noticing, you always wonder about statistics, but there seemed to be statistically same-sex marriages don't seem to last. And what was it, 5% don't even last for more than 3 years. And that's not the type of environment you'd want to raise a child in or have a stable home. So. Okay,
but we just said at the top of the show that a heterosexual marriage.
I know they don't
40
have
to 50% marriage failure rate. So
exactly. But basically what I'm getting to, even in I saw this really interesting article about the decline of marriage in Scandinavia, where yes. Are you familiar with how marriage has been on a decline for a while there?
Yes.
The majority of children actually are even born to unwed parents, and
in some areas, it's I think the percentage of children born out of wedlock has increased to about 50%.
The stat I saw, which I always question statistics, but they said over 60% of children were born to unmarried parents. Mm-hmm. So basically, married people who are married and have children, they're in the minority. So marriage is no longer a precondition for settling a family. So there's a separation of marriage and parenthood, which that's what's disheartening, and that's what scares me a little bit. And part of, some people have been claiming that one of the reasons that this decline has been is that over the past decade or so, there's been the standard for same-sex marriage has been accepted and embraced there. Anyways, what it gets down to is they have definitely placed a separation between marriage and parenthood. And what statistics have shown over and over again is that the healthiest and the children of the well-rounded, the best that contribute to society are the ones that grow up and parents are in